You don't want a beautiful, sexy website. You just want something that sells. That's the end goal. A lot of people look at it as kind of like, I don't really have the money. Well, having a really good, well built website is an investment.
Hey there, QUAY.jo here, and I am with my new website developer. Actually, he's not new. He's been developing my brand new website over the past several weeks, and his name is Archie Alibasa, and he's going to help you understand how a website can help your business conversions increase, why a well-designed website is really good for your business. He's shared a little bit with me as we've gotten to know each other over the past bit of time, and he's been building websites for 15 years, and he's done about 20 or so in the past years. He's located in the Philippines, and if you forgot where I'm located, I'm in Mexico. Archie, thank you for being here on this episode.
Hey guys, QUAY.jo, thank you so much for having me. I am super excited and I feel super blessed to be part of this episode. And I'm so excited to share what I know with your audience to, help them create a really, really great website.
Awesome. Speaking of really great websites, I'm kind of just we were laughing but right before we hit record because I pulled up my old website and my new website because you can see right now Archie and I are looking at the before and after, and it's like night and day, maybe slightly embarrassing. Okay, so the context before you point out what was so wrong with my previous website, Archie, the context here is, why do we have a website as business owners? And that would be, for one thing, to convert, like to optimize conversions, to convert website visitors into clients, right? What are the three things that really entails, Archie? Like when we talk about converting a website visitor into a client, like what's really important on a website?
There are I'd say two general factors about building a website. First, I want to just talk about, so your website is basically your store. In the absence of a physical brick and mortar store, you're selling services, whether it's digital, online service. This is what sells you in the online space. So you want to make sure that it's built nicely, it has the right copy, and it loads very quickly. So there are two aspects to it: the front end and the back end. With the back end, you want to make sure that it loads fast, it's lightweight, especially in mobile. And then the front end, you want to make sure that you have a really, really good design, a balanced design. You want to make sure that you have excellent copy, sales copy. And then the one thing, the final thing is you want to make sure that the combination of design and copy would convert your customer, because ultimately you don't want a beautiful, sexy website. You don't want to be flashy and extravagant with your words. You just want something that sells, and ultimately that's the end goal. And that's what I always tell clients is, as Rick would say, you want to simplify everything, because the end goal really is to sell your services, to sell your product to your audience.
Right. So we're gonna dive into key principles of user experience design and basically how they make your website more user friendly. We're not going to get into all the technical stuff, but like if you're listening to this episode, you will get some principles in just a moment that will, especially if you're a DIYer like I was. I'll say like I was, because I'm a recovering DIYer. Because oh man, as you look at this, it's just it's quite clear that I should have hired a professional a lot, like way before. I mean, I was on Squarespace before, and then Archie put me on
Yeah.
WordPress. And probably like many of you, I was scared when I heard like the W word. I was like, "Oh no, can't you just build it? Can't you just build it in Squarespace?" And he was like, it's going to be a lot better for your brand and business if we do it in WordPress." And I was like, "Okay, let me trust the professional." And I'm glad I did. So, I mean, if you want to share just a little bit, describe what you're seeing, Archie, on this page, which is my old website, and then my new website, and just Can you tell me why the new one looks so good?
The first thing that strikes out to me is there's no balance with your previous Squarespace website. It's just color and text. The formatting of how your formatting with the text, it's kind of off. There's no balance. You see, as you can see right now, you see when I talk about balance, you're going to look at the headline on the left side is big, and then you have a subheading, that one which kind of is not matched with the heading, and then you're going to take a look at the right side. You're going to say that's way too small, you know, compared to the headlines that you have on the left side.
Step 1 is in like a blue color, which is my palette, and it's all caps, but it's kind of small. And then the subheading for that headline is actually bigger than the step 1 itself. And then what's in the subheading says, "Are we a match to work together?" And then on the right hand side, it goes into all the details about if we're a match to work together. But what you're saying, Archie, is it's not balanced. What does that mean design wise? Like, is it just because I was getting applications from people to work with me as an ads manager, but when you say it's not balanced, is it just like make somebody feel uneasy or just makes me look like an amateur? Like what's going on there?
So let's assume, Quajo, that no one knows you, right? Like right now, everyone knows who Quajo, but let's assume for a moment that you just stepped into the game, you build a website, you're trying to sell what you have. And then people go to your website and say, "Who's Quajo? What does he do? Well, let me find out about him on his website." So I'm gonna go. With design, it heavily involves a fundamental understanding of human psychological tendencies, right? And you want to make sure that the information that you put out on your web pages flow naturally, and it's easily, I'm going to use a buzzword, digestible for your audience. So that means you want to make sure that they're able to absorb it without any tension between the screen and the human eyes and the human brain. But I'm just gonna touch on this very briefly. You showed a briefly on the difference between your current website and the new website. And the
The
reason
new
for
one.
that, you're gonna see the text is kind of small, and for the audience that are watching this on YouTube, the reason why it looks small on Quajo's screen because Quajo is using a pretty large screen,
Right.
right? So that's kind of reason why you're gonna see the text a little bit small. But don't worry, because the text, when we build websites, the text actually adjusts itself to the screen that you're using. So it could be a full HD, it could be 2K, 4K, widescreen, or the
That is
traditional 4:3. So it
that is
automatically
really
adjusts itself to the sizing.
that is really cool for your website. My website, the previous one that I tried to do myself, well, let's be honest, like, I was trying to do it myself to get it done really quick. I was trying to save some money by just doing it myself, and then I realized, oh, after I looked at what you did, I'm like, "Thank God I invested with Archie," like, because there were so many problems, but with my old one, but I just and even I wanna be fully transparent here. When you look at these boxes on the screen, which have like
Right.
5 plus years of this was after I saw Archie's website, which looks like this, I was like, "Huh, those elements are really cool. Let me try to recreate them by myself on my old one." And so those weren't like he borrowed those elements from me. It wasn't the case. I borrowed these elements from him to try
Hmm.
to make my old website look better. And in fact, I'll be completely honest, after I saw your website, I took like some of the background colors,
Hmm.
like the different sections, how they have different background colors. Like my website didn't actually look this good before you designed my new one. I took
Yeah.
elements from your new website and put it back into my old one to kind of help me limp along. So, so if we're going to talk about like key principles of user design experience and how that makes our website user friendly, like first of all, what is in your mind when you hear the word user friendly? Now looking at the new website, which thank you for designing, but like what does that mean when we say user friendly to you?
again, it's just having the words and the design flow naturally and not make it difficult for the person trying to understand the information or website. Present it in a seamless, simple manner. And then I'm just gonna go back and talk briefly about the boxes on the new website and the previous website, and you're gonna see the huge difference between that is number one, you're gonna look at if you're looking at the old website, you're gonna see the numbers and the text right below that. There's no balance, there's too much space in between them, they're too small, and they're all cramped up at the top.
Yeah.
And so when I look at that, like, okay, like almost to point, like it doesn't grab your attention. And so when you look at the new website, you're gonna see here's a word. It pops immediately
It
because you
does.
have the numbers huge. And you see, so what does this 5 mean? And you're gonna immediately take a look at what it means right below that, the text right below that says, oh,
Sure.
okay, 5 years of online experience. So and again, you're gonna see we're using colors on your website, but we're not using too much of those colors
Mm.
because you don't want to turn away people and make it, sometimes when you go to websites and they have like really, really bright colors.
Yeah.
Your website uses bright colors with the yellow ones. But if you
Sure.
know, we haven't really used a lot of that yellow because again, that is way too the yellow is kind of like too bright for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But we're using it in a way that it just grabs attention, and we're using it in the most important aspect of the website, which is the call to action button.
We'll get back to the video in a quick second. You probably assume that because I'm, the host of the Art of Online Business, that it's actually expensive to work with me as your Facebook ads manager and let's call it funnel partner, but it's not. And you will see that, especially if your business is already earning low six figures. We're talking about like 150K annual revenue to like 300K, and you want to be able to scale up to say 900K annual revenue, and you're a course creator, online membership owner, online coach, then ads management would be a good fit for your business. Head to the link in the description below to my website, fill out an application for ads management, and I would love to partner with you as your ads manager and your strategy partner, if you will. Okay, back
I was gonna
to
say
the
it's
video.
kind of funny. Like, I know about website design, but being able to coach somebody and because I always say, like, anybody who's listened to this podcast, I always tell them, like, your call to actions need to be a different, color from everything else. And I talk about website design and I coach clients in opt-in page design, and how to increase their conversions. But that is, unless you're working in a way that you really understand how to design and build a website yourself, as is evidenced in my Squarespace website, like building the actual thing is difficult. So tell me more. Like, what went into? I guess if we're talking about like user experience and making it friendly, like I remember you were talking with me about having the sections be this alternating color. Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
So again, we want to separate information. Um, so if we're gonna just scroll back to the top, Quwadwo, you're gonna see we're talking about step one, right? So they've already looked at your header, they've already looked at your numbers, and now they're reading your step one. And you want to make sure that they understand and process this information first before they jump into the next section. And psychologically, you want to create separation with that. And the way to do that is to use the colors. So you're going to see a separation in there. You have kind of like a gray, light gray color background at the top. And then immediately after, you have white. So that kind of like consciously, psychologically for the person. Okay, so now there's separation. They process the information at the top. Now they're ready to process the next information. Because then if you kind of like use the same colors continuously, um, at the end of the day, the person reading the text won't be able to process. They're gonna have like a over processing of information. Because you see, with your website, you've got lots of lots of text, lots of information on there, and if they read it all at once, they're not going to be able to process it and understand really what they're reading. So you want to format it in a way that you're separating information, and the way to do that is with the colors that you use, the sectioning, the formatting of the text. So each and every time they go to each section, to one new section, they'll be able to fully understand what they're reading before they move forward with the next information that with the next section.
Gotcha. That's, I mean, you're putting to words what my eyes are seeing, and my eyes are just seeing, dang, this looks good now.
Think of it in a way, QUÄY.jo. If you're reading a legal document on a Word, on Microsoft Word or whatever word processing Word app you're using, you're reading something legal document, and it's just a whole page of text, and you're gonna at one point you're gonna get tired of reading and not understand exactly what you're reading. So we want to avoid that, because again, we want to go back to the fact that we're using your website to sell something, and you want to sell something, but making them understand what you are, what you're selling, and why they need you for their business. And so that's why we're using colors, separation, formatting, which is something that you can't really do with a regular document.
Agreed. I feel like I want to talk about how I wanted to put emojis on the website because I like emojis, and you shot me down and you wouldn't let me put emojis, and you started saying it's in my benefit to not have them there. But tell me, I know you told me it makes the website load quicker, but like tell me a little more detail, like so the listener can understand. And then I know we're not going to get into detail on this episode about other things that increase loading speed, but just talk us through that a little bit because that's very important for conversions. This whole loading speed thing, and so why did you shoot me down on the emojis?
Everyone's going to have a different opinion of emojis. I would talk about my personal experience and my personal opinion about emojis. They're fun and they're okay because they kind of visualize your personality, whatever emotion you want to convey on your website. But I feel like emojis are a hit and miss affair. They may or may not work for you. It really depends on what kind of business you have, the tone of your website copy. Now, for I said, and you wanted to have. I think we talked about having a flag, an emoji flag over there on one of those pages. He said it might be cool to have that one over there. I said, and this is one thing that a lot of developers would always tell you, because a lot of developers are not design people, right? And you're gonna say immediately, you don't want to use emojis because it kind of drags your website. It adds to the weight of your website.
When you say add to the weight, what does that mean for loading speed?
That is the amount of text code that is being used to write your website and present it in a visual way on the front end. And so the more code you use, the bigger the file size and the heavier it becomes. And you don't want to do that for your website, because approximately 50-60%, and in a lot of cases, 80% of your visitors come from your mobile phones. And that's really the reason why, search engine giants like Google, we're all shifting to a mobile landscape. And with mobile, you want to have a lightweight website because of the restrictions with the website speed, the speed of the hardware of your mobile phone. So you want to have a lightweight, load as fast as you can website for your mobile visitors. And that's the reason why we try to avoid, emojis. And if you're going to take a look at those small photos, they may look small, but if you don't optimize them, images take up a lot of the weight on your website. I'd say about half of the file size of your website are all images. And so I'm just going to go back to a website, QUÄY.jo. You are using super heavy images. So it was weighing your website down, but you didn't notice that, but it was weighing your website down.
You're talking about images in the previous website?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I may have actually taken some of those images off already. Again, copying your design cues. You had my color palette, yet you're not using all of the colors in my color palette. And I know you educated me on this, but please educate the listener. Like, how do you go about choosing which colors from the color palette actually are the ones that you're going to use on the website? And maybe even tell them a couple mistakes that people do with their colors.
Yeah. Okay, so with a lot of people, when you have a color palette, it's usually like a combination of 5 different colors. The first 3 would be something that's a little bit bright, and then the rest would be neutral. Now, your main colors are actually the teal, the yellow, and the dark blue. And
Okay.
you're gonna see the dark blue, the navy blue is your neutral color. That comes with your white and your gray, and
Okay.
then you have your active color, which is the yellow. And I'd say that teal is kind of between neutral and like active, dynamic, bright. So what I did here is I used the brightest, most interactive color for the most important aspect of your website, which is
Mm,
your call to action button. And then
okay.
I used the kind of like a neutral-ish color teal for, presenting information that's needed, like, your name, what you do,
Mm,
and then a lot of the neutral colors with the blue and the white and the gray, because again, you want to make sure that your colors work with your sales copy, with your copy on your website. So you don't want to have a very boring black and white copy on your website page, but you also don't want it to be too contrasting, like it kind of like, it's like you could only imagine if we were using a lot of the yellows and I know you also have orange on your website. You can only imagine, like, it's just gonna be so difficult on the eyes, and then I would just say, oh no, you know what, I don't want to read this because it's too hard on my eyes. But we again, I'm going to go back to the word balance. We use that to create balance and separation and present the website in a way that would be attention grabbing, but at the same time easy to process and read.
gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I'm sure the listener is wondering, how long does it take? And thank you for explaining that, by the way. How long does it take, let's say, to build a 5-page website like with you?
If all factors were constant, like say, you already have design, everything is in place, ideally it only takes anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks for me. It could even sometimes clients come up to me and say, I need this pretty quickly, and the minimum that I would say is 4 weeks. But then there are a lot of factors that are involved, especially with the um, schedule, and this one was something that we had to kind of really go around with you and I, Quadro, because you're super busy entrepreneur. You've got a lot of things on your plate, and it's not easy to like. Ideally, I want to like we talk and we sit down once a week to just talk about, run through all of the pages and discuss the changes that we want to do for the next version of the website. But that doesn't work really for a lot of business owners, because again, you're busy, and not everyone has the time to hop on a call and discuss design and sales copy. So I'd say ideally 4 to 6 weeks to about 8 weeks, but realistically anywhere between 2 months onwards for a lot of the people that I work with.
And I would say, like, just to throw something in here, I would say you made the process really easy. And we're not going to talk about the process. We'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. But I do want to say here, you did make it easy for me because you would send like these nice bullet pointed emails, like that would say, okay, like, what do you want to decide about this and this and this and this and this? And then you would like have a screen recording of the new website asking me like the questions visually. that you put in the email. And you were great. Like every time you had a fix to make or you had a decision that I needed to make, it's like the email was there in my inbox. Now, was I really good about responding to you like super quick? No, but you were really good about helping me, especially because like that's a consideration. Like I'm here in Mexico and you're over there in the Philippines, but like you really made it easy for me to move the process along. I just want to give you that credit. That was a good experience.
I was actually quite worried, QUAY.jo, because I was thinking, would he be able to really understand the process of how we were doing it? And back in the day, I would just say that the alternative to not having a phone conversation is to have your screen recording and just kind of like just walk through what you want to do, which is what we did for us, because I knew you didn't really have the availability to hop on a call. So back in the day, it was a little bit more challenging for us because we didn't have screen recording, so everything had to be like text and all of that. But now, thank you for technology, we were able to record information, and that really made it a whole lot easier for us to collaborate and exchange ideas. And so it went out pretty great, and I'm super super happy with what we came up with.
So thank you. And yeah, again, this website is just, it looks way better. I'm like, we're gonna actually talk in another episode. It's kind of the mentality and why, like, because I'm a recovering DIYer. I'll say that. And let's be honest. Like, I wanted to, like, not that your services are actually quite affordable. I just wanted to do it myself. But after seeing the new website, I'll say it like this: I wish I had met you and had you design a website like a year ago. And I will also say that there has been an uptick in applications for my ads management service since, um, I will say since December. And that is a little after like we rolled out this new website. And it really, I choose to believe, just look how professional this new website looks compared to the old one. And people do make like a snap instant decision when they see your website. And like, I believe like just more people are looking at the website now and they're like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing, just because the website actually looks good and professional. So that is my, I guess, my plug for you, but that's also my encouragement to you, the listener. Like, if you're doing it yourself, we'll go into another episode why like having a professional do it for you on WordPress, like build your website on WordPress, versus you doing it on, or even just having someone use Squarespace or Wix or whatever. It's just hands down, this result is a lot better. If somebody wants to, like, if a listener wants to work with you, Archie, like, what would be the next step?
Before I go into that, I'm super happy and thankful that what we did has already created results for you. I'm so happy that things are starting to convert for you, QUAY.jo. That's super awesome. And I would say this to a lot of business owners, and I do understand that the necessity to DIY things, because not everyone has the budget. But I would say this: having a really good, well built website, as with any business, is an investment. And a lot of people look at it as kind of like a cost. I don't really have the money. Well, you need to invest, because that means more growth for your business and more conversions for your business, and it's an investment, and I would say is almost kind of a necessity. It's not a necessity for everyone, because there's always there are always options to DIY. But for the serious business owner that really wants to create an impact and create a really really great presence online, it will really pay dividends for you to invest on a really good, well built website. And so, having said that, hop over to my website. It's arcawebsolutions.com. We offer website services. We also offer WordPress maintenance, hosting, and a lot of other technical stuff for you. So be sure to check that out.
Cool. How do you spell that? Arcawebsolutions.com.
Arca is ARCA, and then websolutions.com. Arca is actually a abbreviation of my full name. My sister gave it to me, actually, so she's
Okay.
entitled to royalty.
Cool. Gotcha.
She's been
All right.
asking for her royalties ever since.
we'll make sure to pay her out. Oh man, this has been a good episode. ArcaWebSolutions.com. Somebody can see the steps there. Thank you for saving me from the previous website, which I thought was good, but oh my gosh, like you can see how much my old website sucked compared to the new one. And I'm actually absolutely happy for that investment because I mean, it was a one-time thing, and I'm gonna have this new website for until I decide to make another one. But this one looks good, so I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon.